we had more garbage than usual this weekend to swim through. I was interested to see what you would pick. I picked the obvious thing where it's like the two lawmakers in Minnesota were assassinated. Was this Friday night? Saturday morning? Something like that.
Saturday early morning.
Yeah.
I believe.
But I don't really care about the focus of that story necessarily. I more have questions that spurn off of what happened there, which is an absolute travesty. And jeez, I don't. Last I saw, they haven't caught this guy. We hope they do. What an absolute shitbag. But anyways, I more just wanted to explore the idea of living in a world where disagreements over opinions and like politics motivate someone to actually murder someone. Like, how do we think this guy or any person, because it feels like in the internet age you see this all the time, especially me and you diving into the craziest corners. How do we get to a point with any person where they think a disagreement over an opinion or just politics is enough to think that there's some existential threat to society and want to murder them? That's so crazy to me, man. You feel like all of us... No, I shouldn't say that, but you'd hope that all of us grow up with some sort of teachings of, especially including history, not just blanket hating other people because of, like, what they look like, but also, like, what they think, right? As long as they're not some sort of, like, physical or material threat. If you just have disagreements over opinions, you would hope that, sure, get mad all you want, but you would hope it would end at that verbal level. Like, what makes people like this think that these people needed to be murdered? Any thoughts at all? Like, at all? It just leaves me pretty baffled, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really surprise me.
That someone gets there in this day and age?
Not even in this day and age, ever. I mean, it's...
Yo, that's such a good point.
Easier, I think, even so these days. Because you're just so plugged into... If you choose to be, if your attention gets drawn towards it, and if you're engaging in, like, algorithm-driven media, it's very easy to get to a weird place with...
That's true.
Your opinions, and you can dive into, like, dude, I don't know if you've ever watched One American News Network or any of those offshoots during the 2020
Newsmax
election cycle. Newsmax, oh my god, doesn't surprise me at all, right? And again, it's I forget who it is. I think it's Bill Burr who has a joke, or maybe it's Louis C.K. Regardless, he has a joke of like, well, how do people get so, people asking about how people get so upset about abortion. But if you look at from their perspective, babies are literally being murdered. So it really is all just how you understand the world to be. This guy clearly thought this guy's such a dire threat that he had to take physical action against these people.
It's just so fascinating to me how someone gets there.
Yeah.
Maybe I could look into that more with people that have already been studied based on what they've done similarly in the past or whatever. But like,
sure,
I just,
Ted Kaczynski.
Like what? I don't, and I'm not religious, so it's super hard for me to get even into that mindset. But you always try, right? And you're just like, I don't understand, like, to murder someone. I mean, even the religion that we grew up in, there still was "Thou shalt not kill," right? So the idea that anybody could have some sort of politics or opinion that you disagree with and they need to be killed as if there's some threat. It's just crazy how you get there, man. It's super scary. Definitely super scary. It's not some widespread thing, but yeah.
Yeah. No, it's definitely super scary because considering the let's look at the lawmakers that were shot here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these aren't people that are, like, you may not align with them politically, but you're so distraught by their actions or how you perceive their actions that you think that they're just an existential threat and they have to be removed. Like, what did these? And to be fair, I'm not familiar with either of these laws. They're state lawmakers, right? They're not federal Congress people. Okay.
No.
So I don't know what in particular they've done, but I can't imagine it's anything more than just like
legalizing weed. Like, who gives a fuck?
Right,
man? Like,
making school
doing?
lunches accessible, or
oh no, feed the children. That's terrible.
But
like some people feel that way, and it's weird, man.
I know. Well, they're clearly zeroed in on something that's way more inflammatory, or at least so they perceive, right? Like I don't know exactly. Apparently, this guy left a manifesto. I don't know that they've released anything about it.
Right.
But I would imagine, if I were to guess what this guy's perceived motivations were, it would either be abortion, or it would be something race-related, i.e.,
sure,
Democrats are letting the great replacement happen, right? It's going to be something to either of those effects, if I were to guess.
Yeah, and another thing is, something you said made me think of this. It doesn't matter what party these people belong to or what opinions any of these people had. The idea, again, that regardless of the opinion, you think that you should murder someone because there's some sort of threat is insane. Insane. And I just would almost love to interview someone who did something like this in a good faith setting somehow, even though they're fucking psychopaths. Just to like how?
But you would agree that something like this is necessary sometimes, right?
What?
Like, say you live under a totalitarian state and you're somebody who has an opportunity to get rid of a particular person that you think is actually doing great harm.
I will say that there are different I will say that there are different circumstances that are justified. Yes, there you go. That's a better word to use. Justified. Oh yeah. But this isn't one of them.
No, it's absolutely not. But obviously,
but the context does matter. That's a good point from you. It does matter, but the context here is
irredeemable for sure.
Yeah,
this is in our country as it exists. This is never justified. This is never.
And I guess that's a good point too, in the sense that like when I say your opinions or your politics, this is all verbal and like how you feel society should be run, and is in no way is it subtracting from anyone's freedoms, because that's kind of what you're talking about. Well, if you live in a totalitarian state, which obviously would subtract a lot of freedoms, then yeah, fuck them. Let's go, baby. Grab your pitchfork, because mine's out back, homie. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's this, it's
what the founding fathers were. It's what the whole American Revolution was.
I know, dude. How many jokes I saw over this fucking weekend of like, and just recently, of like resistance to Trump being related to like, this country's never liked tyranny.
No kings. No
right?
kings, baby.
Well, and literally the way the protest was called. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But obviously,
it's a belief in something this man had enough to step to such lengths. Do you ever think to yourself, boy, I've never believed in something that much? Like, it's crazy to think that he believed in something so much that he was willing to basically like end his life. Not death probably, but life in prison. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how it is in Minnesota. We'll see. But
this guy is,
that this life, the life is forever altered. It's over for all intents and purposes.
Yes,
so.
You are making a choice that will completely derail.
You ever think to yourself, I have never felt. I have never felt that.
Yeah.
Way. Again, to your point, a totalitarian state would make us have different conversations. But as far as our lives have been, what are we doing here? Like, you actually said to yourself, something is so bad that I will ruin my life. Like, wow. Okay.
Yeah. If anything, it's a testament to your conviction. Well, it's one of two things.
It's true,
right?
and I'm not trying to pump it up in a positive way at all, but it's true.
Definitely not.
It's not positive, but yeah, right. This guy's a dirtball and should be shot.
The other piece of it, the other piece of it is you're either you have a great deal of conviction, or you are so miserable about your own life that you find any sort of purpose to cling on to, and then you just kind of full send, which oftentimes those two positions overlap. Call it what it is. But yeah, no, this is This guy spends a lot of time online. It would be my guess. I don't know how you radicalize yourself in this way otherwise. I genuinely don't.
In this day and age, that's how you radicalize yourself. But I did like what you said some time ago in the conversation. That, dude, at any point, I get so tired of people thinking that, like, humanity now is unique compared to humanity then. Like, that's so stupid, no matter what you apply that to. So I liked what you said before, where it's like, this shit always has been happening. There's been political disagreements, and there's been tensions ratcheted up to the point where people who are fucking not well or just insanely convicted into something that, like, isn't even real, to the point where they'll take lives. Right. Yeah. That's always been a thing. I think the internet gasses it up, but we don't. Yes. Nobody should look at the internet as the beginning of a problem, just an exacerbation of a human problem. That is true, I think. So, but it's always been there. It's always been there. That's why I always fucking reject and hate people who do the, like, oh, this generation lazy, this generation that. It's just like, shut the fuck up, dude. Like, so dumb, man. Every generation faces its own unique environment and this and that, and who gives a fucking shit? Like, it's all humanity, and this kind of stuff has always been happening. This is where, like, let me know what you think of this off the top of your head. When I was younger, I used to feel like there was and I still think there's a general progression to humanity, right? We're here sitting on our fucking computer in two different cities taping this god-awful shit that nobody listens to. But when I was younger, I used to think that there was more progress that was kind of being made with our generations. So in that way, I was a little biased. I wonder what you thought, or you were thinking when you were younger. And as I get older, I realize it's like the same shit always happens. You just make, like, incremental progress. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. I mean, there is a bit of an exception to particularly our generation and our parents' generation, for sure.
Oh, no, you're doing the uniqueness of generation, which I don't like. So go ahead. What is that exception?
Okay, but it's objectively true that we were driving by horse and buggy 150 years ago and we landed on the moon 50 years ago. That's actually, real quick, right. If I could just say, that is actually a leap in progress, technology, and science that has not been seen in the entirety of human history. So go ahead.
The speed of the progress, I agree with you. But that horse and buggy time, if I transported you back to then and that's all you knew, you would say the same thing about the 150 years before you, right? No, so that's not unique to you. No, hang on. But that's true what I just said. Don't reject that. We're going to get hung up on that. The speed, I agree, is different. I agree with that. I don't know about exponential. Okay. But I absolutely do agree that the speed of it has massively increased. I think we both can at least say that and leave it at that. Like, I don't. All right. Okay, but it's also true that you go back 150 years. That person in that state of mind, if you said 150 years ago, they'd be like, "Oh, that's 150 years ago." They're like, everybody thinks of that as back ass word from when they are. That's true.
Okay, but that's easy when you're taking a frame of the last 500 years. Sure, there was also like 8,000 years of human history where literally life was exactly the same for the 10 generations.
That's true.
It was for the 10 generations after you. So
I agree, and it manifests itself.
There is a piece of uniqueness, but I genuinely speaking,
I like that, a piece of uniqueness. That's fair. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, to pretend that it's all been the same always is also a little
No, I just said every generation even is unique in the environment it faces, so that's fair.
Sure. That's fair. So, regardless, I don't know how we got off to the fucking.
Oh, we love the rabbit holes. Go ahead.
I don't even remember the greater point, if I'm being honest.
Oh, well.
Should we push through? Did you have more on this topic, or should we push through to?
No, I just I'm sure this will come up in the future, and we'll talk about it again. I just don't understand why people.
I totally agree.
Decide to do things that totally upend their life and even end other people's lives.
Yes.
Purely because of a disagreement of opinion or politics, which has nothing to do with, like, subtracting of freedoms. But that's where we'll leave it.
Well, I do also want to say, just in regards to this first topic, this should be the thing that had caught the most attention this weekend. And I think in a polite society, in a good democracy, democracy, this is something that all of us should take stock of.
Let's do
very
that real
seriously.
quick to end this. Sorry, one more thing to end this. Let's
No,
do that
go
real
ahead,
quick.
go
Where
ahead.
it's like,
Yeah.
didn't you, when you first heard this, didn't you feel a little chilled? Where when I first heard this, it was inside of a bunch of other news, obviously, because the weekend has been the garbage from hell, which it's all garbage.
A lot going on. There's a lot going on.
And I just felt like holy shit, like, I don't know. Is there anything else comparable where someone killed a state senator and a state representative in the last God knows how long in one shot over a political opinionated disagreement? It's just not America. It's not what. Well, I don't want to say it's not America because that's not true. We have a long history of that, but it's not the America that we've had in recent memory. Let's say. So I'd like to know like when the last time something on this scale where you kill literally. Well, I don't know if the senator died, but.
One has passed. The other
It's
seems
still
to
hanging
be on
on?
the mend.
Okay.
So one and her significant other and their dog all got gunned down.
No.
The other one, I believe it was a man and his significant other, and I believe they're both recovering.
Okay.
But I
So
could be wrong about that.
I just wonder again, dude, even if it's just one that died, an actual serving,
it's-
sitting
yeah.
state
Yes.
rep or state senator, when has that happened? Probably not too long ago. I was exaggerating a little bit when I started that, but like the point of it was, how did you feel? Did you feel like things could ratchet up, or did you just feel like it's another shooting that will just die down? And like, I kind of had a feeling that it might ratchet up over maybe not like weeks, but years. I don't know.
I do feel like pieces of this, and as far as I understand, this guy was MAGA. And if that is the case, as far as I understand, that's the case. There was a lot of shit floating around immediately after the shooting, which is always the case, and it's just chock full of misinformation.
You just gotta
wait, let the dust settle.
Wait and read Reuters. Holy shit, you could do a lot worse than that. So just do that.
Seriously, God bless. You know, actually, of all my actual news subscriptions, that's one of my few. Reuters, yeah. They did do a good job.
It's like
regardless,
3 paragraphs of like literally what actually is, and just done. But go ahead. Sorry.
I'm so sick of op-eds. It makes
Go ahead.
Yeah, there was a lot of just he was on a labor board, and he was working for Tim Walz, and actually he's a leftist, and these two representatives got killed because they voted against a pro-immigrant like Medicare bill for the state and blah blah blah, which most of that as far as I understand, all of that turned out to be just objectively false.
Okay, I didn't know any of that. Sure.
Yeah, I've been a little too plugged in this weekend for sure. Anyways.
Well, at least you brought us some wisdom. I was a little too plugged into golf this weekend. So, anyways. You did, we'll still sit on that move on that I did earlier on